Good afternoon. It's an honor to be here in the great city of St. Louis with so many incredible leaders across the GEOINT enterprise today. I'd like to thank the United States Geospatial Intelligence Foundation for putting on this exceptional event, particularly in light of the logistical difficulties presented by these COVID conditions. As Jeff said, I am Cindy Daniell, the Director of Research at NGA. I am very privileged to be in this position because, in my opinion, research is the future and the absolute best place to be in the GEOINT mission storyline. So very excited to be here. Now, research's mission for NGA is rather simple: deliver future GEOINT capabilities to users for operational impact, whether for intelligence, defense, law enforcement, humanitarian, first responder, or disaster relief missions. We strive to accomplish this all by leaning forward and accelerating the technology to mission timeline. But how we actually get there, and get there before our competitors, takes boldness and creativity, considering the dynamic challenges we face. Antoine de Saint-Exupéry, a French aviator and author, wrote in his 1948 book, Citadel, "As for the future, your task is not to foresee it, but to enable it. Therein lies a principal tenet of research. Yes, the future is unknowable, but our resources, strengths, and weaknesses, as well as the trends before us, are not. From these, we can make educated guesses on how to enable the future, and where possible, accelerate it." So before I get into today and tomorrow, I'd like to spend a little bit of time on yesterday and reiterate the key role GEOINT has played in our national security. As most of you know, GEOINT has been a critical source of information for the modern national security apparatus, enabling a comprehensive view of the world. When layered with multiple phenomenologies and combined with other intelligence sources, it has literally revealed the ground truth, informing critical national security decisions from the Cuban Missile Crisis to the raid on Osama bin Laden's compound, and more recently, support for humanitarian assistance and disaster relief operations in the aftermath of Hurricane Ida. As former NGA director and principal deputy director of national intelligence, Sue Gordon said, "Anything put into the context of space and time makes things more easily understood, thereby empowering decision advantage." This decision advantage Director Gordon spoke of is imperative to our national security, both today and tomorrow. Over the past few years, however, the world has begun to experience seismic changes in its threat and technological environments, putting our decision advantage at risk. With regard to these threats, we have seen the rapid reemergence of great power competition over the past decade, in some ways akin to what the nation experienced during the Cold War, but with more complex and interdependent state and non-state behavior, such as incremental land reclamation, increased use of non-traditional military forces, misinformation campaigns spread through social media, and emergence of new warfighting domains like space and cyber. We are also seeing rapid deployment and development of advanced anti-access area denial capabilities, such as integrated air defense systems, long-range ground attack missiles, and cyber capabilities, all designed to keep US forces at a distance and hold at risk our traditional ways of military engagement. As last month's observation of the 20th anniversary of the 9/11 attacks reminded us, we are seeing a continuous threat from violent extremist organizations across a number of theaters. Just as alarming, we are seeing rapid changes to our climate, weather, and geography, which in turn affects international trade routes, critical supply chains, migration patterns, and maritime access. Of course, these aren't the only changes impacting the GEOINT environment. We are also seeing incredible changes in access to secure and trusted technology and data production. Throughout much of the Cold War period, only a few countries and a handful of companies had access to space lift and space-based sensors. Cracks in this monopoly started appearing over the last decade, with the dam bursting over the last few years. In fact, according to the United Nations, nearly 1,400 satellites have been launched this year. Already more than 2020's total, which was the first year that over 1,000 satellites were put into orbit. This trend was in no small part driven by the new entrants into the market, which have taken advantage of smaller satellites, faster data processing, and cheaper space lift for commercial and government clients. As a result, high-quality, timely, and cross-phenomenology data is now available to a whole new set of consumers. On the government side, this has led to an exponential growth of available data, both classified and unclassified, structured and unstructured. As a result, our analysts, whose numbers are not increasing as rapidly, will need help sifting, cataloging, and prioritizing the data before they can even begin to understand it. So, what does this new dynamic threat and technology environment mean for the future? Well, NGA is tackling this challenge head-on. We are addressing it through evolving strategies, enhanced focus on operational users, renewed emphasis on emerging technology integration, agile government industry partnerships, and finally, investment in our people. Recently, NGA, led by our director, Vice Admiral Sharp, released Strategy 2025 and subsequently announced the Moonshot Initiative, which challenges the agency to deliver trusted GEOINT for decision advantage to those we serve. And in particular, focus on the speed, accuracy, and precision required to hold at risk the strategic forces our adversaries use to project power and threaten the United States and our allies. Nested in other departmental strategies, this vision directs us to closely monitor activities around the globe and securely disseminate such data at operationally relevant speeds to both intelligence and DoD customers. This will be particularly important as the department continues to invest in faster, longer-range weapons like hypersonics and other advanced capabilities that require time-sensitive information to maintain our decision advantage. Such a reliable, resilient, and secure kill web cannot be a luxury. It is a national priority, and accordingly, a cornerstone of NGA's mission imperatives to provide accelerated tasking orchestration, along with assured positioning, navigation, timing, data access and integrity, and analytic workflow modernization. So what are the building blocks of this future vision? We'll need to start, my favorite place, technology. As I mentioned earlier, we are facing an overwhelming deluge of data from both commercial and government sources. To help manage this wave and enable our decision advantage, our analysts and data scientists will need to leverage recent advances in artificial intelligence, particularly machine learning, to create new human-machine teams. We will also need to expand our partnerships with all sources of innovation in the commercial space. This means providing new engagement venues and mechanisms to enable government teaming with smaller, non-traditional national security companies, which are no less innovative than their larger counterparts, but may not have the necessary expertise to navigate the government contracting system or gain a close understanding of our problem set and technology needs. To this end, NGA Research recently published the Boosting Innovative GEOINT Research Broad Agency Announcement, or more affectionately called the Bigger BAA, to provide a summary of our interest areas and a level entry point for all of industry. In essence, we are striving to make it easier for businesses to work with us, which will allow NGA to expand its reach across a broader and more diverse set of performers. We recently also launched a new technology accelerator program right here in St. Louis, the Intelligence Community's First. This enables the government to train non-traditional solution providers, assess novel commercial solutions to specific geospatial problems, and simultaneously expand and foster the geospatial innovation base. These efforts complement NGA's other outreach efforts, whether to colleges and universities through our academic research program or to industry through the Small Business Innovation Research Program or bailment agreements, which enable the government to assess promising commercial solutions for mission utility. We are also creating and expanding partnerships with government innovators in places like the service laboratories, IARPA, DARPA, and InQtel, and looking for mutually beneficial opportunities with our trusted allies and partners. These efforts are underpinned by our most important asset, our people. To this end, NGA will recruit, engage, develop, train, and retain a workforce that advances the GEOINT tradecraft by developing innovative and responsive solutions and recruiting talent at every experience level. Given the rapid pace of technological change, we need to cultivate a culture of responsible risk-taking that encourages bold solutions, but also embraces the value of smart failures that can inform other agency priorities and prevent us from making the same mistake twice. Finally, we are committed to advancing a diverse workforce armed with the knowledge that innovation flourishes when we tap into all talent pools. So now, just for a moment, I want you to travel with me to the future, say 2035. I'll share with you a possible vision of what our future GEOINT process could look like. We are standing in the NGA Operations Center. As you look around, you immediately notice it's not a very large room with only about a half a dozen or so people. None of them are sitting at computer desks. Some are standing, some are sitting at small tables, and each person is looking at either the large video screen at one end of the room or at an electronic notepad they're holding. You notice that the people are speaking, but not to each other. They are speaking to the video screen or to their notepads, creating and manipulating a multitude of real-time GEOINT products at the speed of their voice. Suddenly, the video screen flashes red, and the words, "Missile Tell Located," appears, along with a timer that begins counting up from 00. One of the analysts says, "Show." And immediately the video screen partitions off about a quarter of its area to show a photograph taken at ground level of one of China's most capable hypersonic missiles sitting on its launcher, with a lat long and a timestamp of about 30 seconds prior. The timer on the wall is now at 6 seconds. "Expand" is the next thing you hear the analyst say. And the partition section of the video shows the data sources that produced the alert. It turns out that the photograph was actually posted by a Chinese citizen on Weibo, the Chinese microblogging site. There were also 3 other internet posts in Chinese, but without photos. uploaded by witnesses near the location of the parked tell that correlate its location. The timer is now at 46 seconds. There is also an exquisite high-resolution satellite image of the location that was taken 40 minutes ago that does not show the tell, but does show the telltale tire mark and oil leak pattern of a known tell parking spot. The analyst says, "More imagery," and the video screen responds, "Stand by, incoming." The timer is now at 1 minute, 12 seconds. A SAR image appears, taken from a commercial SAR constellation of the same location with a time stamp of 22 seconds prior. And right in the center of the image is the unmistakable tell. "Confirmed" is the next word you hear the analyst say, and the red "missile tell located" alert immediately turns from red to green. The analyst then says, "Pass to shooter, battle damage assessment." The timer stops at 1 minute and 27 seconds. Sound far-fetched? Well, this future may be closer than you think if we prioritize the building blocks I mentioned and center our thinking around these attributes. First, analyst-driven. While we often speak of human-machine teaming, our analysts will remain a critical element of the GEOINT enterprise. Their contextual experiences and judgment, combined with inputs from our data scientists, researchers, and operational community, are indispensable to transparent and informed decision-making. They will also be critical in a number of other functions, such as training algorithms, developing novel analytical methods, or identifying more efficient policies and pathways for rapid and secure data dissemination. Their expertise will continue to be critical to our future success. The next attribute to keep in mind is automated. We envision a future in which select processes are streamlined and prioritized to enable the human to focus on the highly complex tasks and high-level decisions. This future is inexorably linked to today's investments in AI, particularly machine learning. Whether it's automating detection of anomalous activities on the ground, fusing traditional and non-traditional GEOINT sources to inform decision makers in a timely manner, or just finding that proverbial needle in a haystack of millions of bits of unstructured data, AI and ML are the tools for accelerators of GEOINT in the future, letting us make more effective and more efficient use of our workforce. Lastly, adaptive. We need our workflows and workforce to be adaptive. If the last few years have taught us anything, it's that we need to be prepared for changes in the threat and technological environments. This means creating a GEOINT enterprise that is sensor agnostic in its ability to capture and assess government or commercial data, has sufficient capacity to process large volumes of dynamic information, and is responsive to a variety of user missions, from warfighting to intelligence, from tactical to strategic, or from immediate to foundational. So, we have our work cut out for us. We face great challenges, whether from peer actors, non-state threats, impacts of climate, or uncertain effects of technology. However, we also have incredible advantages: a dynamic industrial base, a motivated workforce, and most importantly, good old-fashioned American ingenuity. As I look around this room and think about the dialogue, the energy, and the focus I've seen today, I'm optimistic that we are on the right track. Together, we will show and lead the way. Thank you. Hi,
Questions? All right, Dr. Daniell, we have 4 questions and about 7 minutes to get them all through, if that's all right with you. All right, so the first one. What are the big problems or the grand challenges that you currently have in GEOINT research that can be uniquely addressed by non-traditional organizations, sources, collaborators?
Thank you.
First one is the water bottle.
Thank you.
Then what do we have after that?
That's it.
That's it? All right.
Crosshairs to answer
Question number 2. All right. Wait.
That was my trade for the question number 1, right? No. So what we need from the community to help us with our problems, and what are the particular large problems and large challenges. So we need for everyone to talk to us. We're trying to make that easier. We're trying to make the communication channel more open and more transparent. We're trying to have everybody understand our problems, trying to explain them in such a way that will make it easier for non-traditional performers to be able to respond to some of our challenges. So in exchange for that, we need you to talk to us. We need you to bring us your great ideas and bring us your unique solutions. The technologies that we have the largest challenges in, I would say, are everything. I don't know if there's anything I could leave off the list, but I didn't talk about our particular technologies and research, but we divide our portfolio into 3 basic areas. The foundational GEOINT, which has large challenges. You've heard about them talked about here today with the GNSS, with assured precision navigation and timing, all of the reference frames of the Earth, and the terrain and 3D modeling. The next area are advanced phenomenologies. All of the different sensors that we need to be aware of and that we need to be able to access, and we need to be able to use them in ways that they were not intended to be used. Perhaps using them in non-traditional ways. We need unique ideas to turn these phenomenologies into unique signals of interest for us. After you get past the phenomenologies and you collect all the information, then we move to the world of analytic technologies, and that's the 3rd and final chapter in our portfolio. But these are all the analytics that help us to provide the answers to the niche questions, to the large questions that people have about what is going on where and when, and providing data, integrating data with maps.
And I think if I can add a comment there, that continue on with partnerships. I'm very appreciative that you'll be here all week. So we're getting more questions that I think we'll have time for, but I think that's also another aspect to move forward.
Sure. We're here at the GEOINT booth where NGA is, and we welcome everybody to come and talk to us. Somebody from research will be there around the clock.
And plenty of panel opportunities. I know Sarah will also be there, so there's the plug for the Government Hub
yes.
on tomorrow for the panel there. All right, question number 2. In your remarks, you focus on a deluge of data from both commercial and government sources. Assuming this includes open source data or OSINT, can you talk a little about how this kind of data specifically will play a role in the future of GEOINT?
Yes. So OSINT is something we're very interested in, keenly aware of it's the new data that's out there, and we're keenly aware of all the new technologies that are coming from it. We feel like it's very good at corroborating information. There's so much of it that you have to be careful how you filter through it, but it should be able to collaborate and corroborate information that we're getting from other technical means. And so that's a big part of the OSINT. The other part of OSINT is in trending and leading us up to something that happened, providing the ribbon, as one of our speakers here earlier, Louis Gilman, I believe, talked about the ribbon, providing all the cues that you need leading up to an event. And OSINT, we feel, watching that can help us a great deal in that time sequence.
Absolutely. All right, a little bit of a preference for this question before we get to the actual question. So academia is highly research and discovery focused, whereas the commercial market research is often conducted to answer a specific question. There's been a shift lately where academia is getting more interested in commercialization of the end product, and industry has been including some levels of discovery into their research workflows. You've been on both sides, now somewhere in between. What is it that you're looking for in collaboration, what is it that you're looking for in your collaborations with academia and commercial research industry, and you are not getting now?
We are getting almost everything that we need, so I don't know that there's a particular gap. We just need more of everything we're getting. We need more unique and creative solutions. We need more people to talk to us and tell us of their great ideas. We need, I'd say one area that might be the least explored is the area once you've produced a prototype, it's at a TRL level of 4 or 5, getting it over that final hurdle so it can be put into an enterprise. That would be helpful if industry from the beginning, and we have to put our own imprint on it also as well to help that gap. But thinking earlier on in the solutions of how this would go into the enterprise, which enterprise you would go to, whether it be inside of NGA Enterprise or out in a COCOM somewhere, I would say, not that there's anything missing, everybody's providing us with very good information, but that would be a place to focus on, I think, is that area when you're finally getting out after the prototype into the enterprise. What is the operations and maintenance piece that will be necessary to keep it alive, and what does it need to get over that hump?
And I think almost segue perfectly into our last question here.
Oh, good.
Well, what are your directorate's approaches to working with academia and smaller businesses who, with some exceptions, are not accustomed to FAR transactions, contracts? There was another question about software accreditation. You mentioned that in your slides. Can you elaborate a little bit more on that?
Yes, so we have what's called a broad agency announcement, which is used across the government, but really tailored for small businesses, for academia, to provide us with prototypes before you get to the major system acquisitions. And that broad agency announcement is inside of it, you're allowed to do other transactions. Other transactions are a form of contract that are non-FAR. You don't have to go through all the FAR language to be able to play in another transaction. So that is one of the more agile contracting means that we have. And we have grants for academia. So grants can also come through the BAA. They are non-FAR in the sense that they're just grants. And what was the other part of the question?
Transactions, contracts, and software accreditations.
Software accreditations, I will have to defer to somebody to more security knowledge. I don't have a good answer to how we do the software accreditation.
Well, then good thing you'll be here all week, so then someone asks that question, we can make sure to track you down. Yeah. And with that is a perfect segue into to our ending. So hope everyone can join me in thanking Dr. Daniell for closing keynote remarks.